Today I want to address a highly controversial and deeply concerning incident that has gained widespread attention across both social media and national news. I'm referring to the fatal confrontation involving Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalfe. For those who may not be familiar with the case, here is a brief summary based on publicly available information. On April 2nd, 2025, during a high school track meet in Frisco, Texas, a tragic altercation occurred between two 17-year-old students, Austin Metcalfe of Memorial High School and Karmelo Anthony of Centennial High School. Witnesses reported that the dispute began when Metcalfe asked Anthony to move from under a tent designated for Memorial's team. Following a brief verbal exchange, tensions escalated. When Metcalfe allegedly made physical contact, Anthony retrieved a knife from his backpack and stabbed him in the chest. Metcalfe was transported to a nearby hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Now, here's where the conversation takes a deeper turn. We all know what murder is. You don't have to be a lawyer to recognize it. You can feel it when it happens. But white America has long been so deeply afraid of black people that it has redefined murder. Not to make sense of justice, but to find ways around it. There is a morbid historical fear of black bodies in this country, and that fear has led to a justice system that creates loopholes and legal gymnastics. So that if a black person so much as looks at someone the wrong way, that can be a justification for deadly force. Again and again, we see this pattern, where the system bends to excuse violence against black people while demanding perfection and complete innocence from black people. Let me highlight what I mean with three cases, starting with one of the most widely known, the killing of Trayvon Martin. In 2012, Judge Zimmerman, a 28-year-old neighborhood watch volunteer, shot and killed 17-year-old Trayvon Martin in Sanford, Florida. Trayvon was walking home from a convenience store, unarmed, and carrying nothing but a bag of Skittles and a can of iced tea. Despite being told by 911 dispatchers not to pursue Trayvon, Zimmerman followed him anyway.
Are you following him? Yeah. Okay, we don't need you to do that. Okay.
A confrontation ensued, and Zimmerman fatally shot the teenager. His defense: he claimed he feared for his life. He invoked Florida's Stand Your Ground law, a legal shield that has consistently favored those who kill under the claim of self-defense, especially when the victim is black. White America rallied around Zimmerman. He was portrayed not as a vigilante, but as someone protecting his community. He was arrested only after public pressure forced the state to act. In the end, he was acquitted of all charges. Let's be clear. An armed adult stalked and killed an unarmed child. But the system, backed by fear and prejudice embedded in it, decided that was not murder. It decided that Zimmerman's fear, not Trayvon's life, was what mattered. Case 2 is the case of Kyle Rittenhouse. The second example is the case of Kyle Rittenhouse, another moment that exposes just how selective and distorted the American legal system can be when it comes to race, violence, and justice. In 2020, at just 17 years old, Kyle Rittenhouse left his home in Antioch, Illinois, and traveled over 20 miles to Kenosha, Wisconsin. He crossed state lines while illegally in possession of an AR-15 style rifle, a weapon he was too young to legally carry under Wisconsin law. He claimed he was going to protect property during the protest that erupted after the police shooting of Jacob Blake, a black man. Let's be honest, Kyle Rittenhouse didn't show up to keep peace. He was radicalized by right-wing media, by the imagery of black people protesting, by the endless loop of looting and chaos that networks like Fox News blasted every night. He saw the unrest, and like many others caught in that dangerous narrative, he was captivated by the idea that he might become a vigilante hero. And while his targets ended up being two white men, let's not ignore the context. He inserted himself into a racially charged protest environment with a gun, fully prepared to use it. During the trial, the tone of the courtroom made headlines. The judge presiding over the case, Bruce Schroeder, drew criticism for repeatedly showing what many saw as bias in favor of Rittenhouse. He barred prosecutors from referring to the people Rittenhouse shot as victims, but allowed the defense to label them looters or rioters. His phone rang in court with a pro-Trump anthem as the ringtone. His conduct raised serious questions about impartiality. Despite everything, the underage weapon possession, the act of traveling across state lines to seek out conflict, and the killing of 2 people, Rittenhouse was acquitted on all charges. This brings me to case 3, the case of Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely. The third case that demands our attention is the death of Jordan Neely. Another moment that lays bare the racial double standards in Americans' legal and moral compass. Jordan Neely was the 30-year-old black man known around New York City for his Michael Jackson impersonations on the subway. But on May 1st, 2023, Neely was having a mental health crisis. He boarded a Manhattan subway train shouting. Witnesses say he was yelling things like, "I don't have food, I don't have a drink, I'm ready to die." He was loud, he was upset, he was clearly distressed. But crucially, he did not physically harm anyone. Then entered Daniel Penny, a 24-year-old former Marine. Penny approached Neely from behind and placed him in a chokehold. He held that choke for several minutes, long after Neely stopped struggling, long after he stopped breathing, and as a result, Jordan Neely died. Killed in public on a train, in front of dozens of people, for yelling while being poor, hungry, and mentally ill. Unlike Austin Metcalfe, who physically put his hands on Karmelo Anthony, Jordan Neely never touched Daniel Penny, but Penny claimed he felt threatened. That Neely's words alone, his hunger, his pain, his desperation, were enough to justify deadly force. Once again, it wasn't the black man's action that sealed his fate, it was the white man's feeling. And just like with Zimmerman and Rittenhouse, white America circled the wagons. Daniel Penny was not only defended, he was celebrated. A fundraiser for his legal defense brought in over $2 million. Conservative media called him a hero. And after his acquittal, Daniel Penny got a personal meeting with Donald Trump. Now, I do not know why Daniel Penny needed to meet with Donald Trump. What exactly was that supposed to be? A thank you for choking a black man to death on a subway car? What is the political significance of that meeting, apart from sending a message, a loud, clear one, to white supremacists that he's got their back? These aren't isolated incidents, they are part of a pattern. One where black life is always on trial and white fear is always given the benefit of the doubt. It doesn't matter if you are yelling for help, walking home, or just existing in a space someone thinks you don't belong in. If you're black in America, your humanity is negotiable and your death is always up for debate.